so happy for you to join us again. I would like to introduce you to our guest, Mr. Scott Reeve. Scott is a Canadian, like I am, and he's been teaching English in Taiwan for over 15 years. So there must be something about that country that he absolutely loves, and maybe he will tell us what that's all about. He's been a vegetarian for 25 years and a vegan for 15 years, like me. And his first children's book, vegan children's book, was published in 2015. There it is, The Kind Garden. What a lovely title, huh? Yes. Since then, he has written 3 more children's books focused on healthy living, protecting the environment, plus moral values such as empathy and kindness. What beautiful values to teach our children. His first book, The Kind Garden, has been translated into Chinese. Do you have that handy there? Yeah,
Wow.
wonderful. And didn't you just release that in Chinese?
Yes, this year.
This year, yeah, that's wonderful. And his second book, I love the title, The 3 Pigs Save the Earth. The 3 little pigs save the earth. Woohoo! I love that. Has been selected as one of PETA's best books for kids. How about that, right? PETA standing for what, Scott?
People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals.
Yes.
Yep.
So they're huge. PETA is probably the largest organization of its kind in the world. They do wonderful work. So,
and sorry to cut you off,
yeah.
Ingrid Newkirk, the president of PETA,
yeah.
she read this book personally, and she gave me a nice review on the back.
Oh, wow.
That was very,
yeah.
very nice.
She's amazing. That woman is amazing, what she's done. And she's very active in India, actually, Raj.
Oh,
For PETA in India. Yeah, she does a lot of work there. She's traveled there and made presentations and so on and so forth. So beyond the 3 pigs, in 2020, Scott published an important book called Rainforest Rescue. Look at the color on this. Isn't that stunning?
It's a beautiful cover page.
And perhaps the world's first science fiction vegan children's book called Glowy's Galactic Adventure. Look at that. Woohoo! Look at the glow on it, right? Look at the, oh my God, it's just stunning. So we welcome you, Scott. You're just a super talented man. And I know Raj and I are just very honored that you are here with us today. Yeah?
Thanks for having me. I appreciate both of you guys.
You're very welcome. So how did you get into writing stories like this? What inspired you?
Well, I never was really, to be honest, I'm never really good at English. Like growing up in school, it wasn't one of my favorite subjects. But jumping ahead to my adult life, in 2008, there was a big vegan conference in Los Angeles. And they had lots of VIPs there, like Will Tuttle, Howard Lyman, the Mad Cowboy, and such. And they all gave presentations for half an hour. So I was in the audience. I was just in flux with all this positive energy about veganism. And this was when I was living in Taiwan. So before I flew back to Taiwan after the conference, my friends took me to a bookstore at the airport, and they had a big children's section. So since I'm an English teacher in Taiwan and I mostly teach little kids, I just went right to the children's section, started reading all these children's books. We're there 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour. And so then 1 + 1 = 2. This is how I equate my start of writing children's books. I have all the energy of the Los Angeles Vegan Conference, all the energy of children's bookstore in my mind. I fell asleep on the airplane, and half an hour later, I woke up and I thought to myself, I want to write a children's story. And I'd never even thought about doing that before. I wasn't good at English, wasn't really a writer. And so I just like started sketching in a little book. And then that was in 2008. So it took me 7 years to get to this point.
Right. Right.
7-year process just to make this little 24-page book.
Yeah.
My goodness.
So
Well-
it was quite a journey. Lots of success, but lots of failures and lots of challenges. But I guess I can say I overcame them all, and I did it finally.
No kidding. And because you're an English teacher, you teach children in Taiwan. I'm sure that had some that supported you in the writing of these books, right?
That's an excellent point. Absolutely, because my whole life is children.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
ever since I've been here since 2005, so that's 17 years. How many kids is that? Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kids, all ages, all personalities. And so, yeah, when I flew back to Taiwan, then I thought that same thing. I had taught vegan in my school beforehand, little aspects of veganism. It's nutritious. Maybe have plant milk instead of cow milk, you know, because the cow milk isn't meant for humans. It's meant for little baby cows. But I never really taught vegan through storytelling. So now I got this concept of using stories to teach kids about veganism. And then my whole life just, you know, manifested into this new, I don't want to say career, my passion, my purpose. And so the first story I ever told in the classroom, I'm like, what story? I'm like, 3 pigs. How can I make the 3 pigs vegan? How can I make the 3 pigs more ethical, with more morality and environmentally, you know? So I drew this. This is the first cover I ever drew. This paper is like 7 years old.
Oh my gosh.
I still, sorry if you can't see it. The 3 pigs, I got the earth, and the pigs save the earth.
Oh, save the earth. Okay. Oh, they saved the earth. The 3 pigs saved the earth. Yeah.
The 3 pigs saved the earth. I wrote this down before the class, and I just spontaneously told this story. And the kids enjoyed it. They were focused on it. They liked it. And so that's why I insisted my illustrator make the same cover.
It's beautiful.
And so she made this inspiration into this.
Yeah, that is so amazing. I remember watching a video of you, I don't know how many years ago this was, but of you reading from your book in front of the kids in the classroom, right? And how they were going, oh, wow, you know, they were
Mesmerized.
totally engaged. Yes.
Totally engaged.
Yeah, mind you, you're a great storyteller too. So the content plus your storytelling ability would really have enraptured them, I'm sure. Yeah.
Well, that's another thing I learned, not through reading or research, because I didn't go to university.
Mhm.
So all the stuff that I know is from experience,
Mm.
firsthand experience. And storytelling for children, in my experience, is the best way to teach English.
Yeah.
And the best way to teach anything that you want to get across, because children, like you said, Betska, totally engaged in a good story.
Mhm.
But all of us are movies, are stories. We tell
Yeah.
stories every day.
Yeah.
So life is pretty much, you know, all about stories.
Yeah.
So
And
kids
I
are
know
just,
sorry,
Mhm.
go ahead. I cut you off.
kids are just, their minds are just open,
Yeah.
and their hearts are. So you can just, you know, plant those
them.
seeds of love
Mhm.
quite easily with a good story. They love this story. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And so they're just all ears. And then the other thing about story, you can make it fun and make it funny,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
away you go. You're off to the races. Yeah.
Mhm. That's fabulous. Well, that's just awesome. So, how about sharing with Raj and I what gifts you've received from this whole writing, publishing process? You know, including working with illustrators and, you know, like What have you learned? What gifts have you walked away with and continue to walk away with?
Oh yeah. Let me think. One of the gifts is working with, you mentioned the illustrators, working with these amazing people who are just, in fact, I love working with illustrators because I found lots of illustrators, they write just maybe one picture, they paint this picture, and I'm thinking, gosh, I can bring out so much creativity from an illustrator and put it in an organized order, a story that they will never have dreamed of before. So like, I'm sure for this story, Glowy's Galactic Adventure, this illustrator would never draw like these pictures on her own.
Oh, I see. Right. That's an awesome picture. Wow.
So yeah, this one is about, so I give the text.
Right.
The illustrator reads it, has to think about it, ingest it, absorb it. And then if sometimes I supply my own sketch, but sometimes I don't. I do like to give illustrators, you know, as much freedom as possible, creative freedom for creation as possible.
Right.
So in this case, I just have the text. She drew this and I was like, wow, that's one of the best drawings I've ever seen.
Wow. The color and the images and the glow coming. Oh my God, it's stunning.
Yeah.
You know what?
So
I haven't read that book yet. I'm going to have to get it.
Sure.
Beautiful.
It says, yes, natural food from soil and trees.
Oh.
Keep us feeling light and super healthy.
Wow.
So that's a simple line, but there's lots in there. I can talk for an hour to kids about this and do lots of activities.
Yeah.
Plus this.
So speaking of that, your books are for what age group? I know parents will benefit from it as well, but you know, what's your target market if you have such a thing?
I don't. Like, because I realized as a child, illustrations are for any age. Like,
Gosh, beautiful.
Let me tell you a quick story, and I'll answer that question. When I was a kid, I used to go to my grandma's house, and as soon as I got to the house, I remember, 6, 7 years old, I used to run down in the basement and go into grandma's box of books. She had a big cardboard box, 30, 40 books. And one of them I really loved was this one.
Doodle.
Doodle.
Oh, yeah. Right.
It's a golden book. And it's about a train. And so, but I don't really remember reading the book, like the sentences. I just remember being absorbed by these illustrations and just staring at them. And the story came to me through the illustrations.
Interesting.
And this one particularly, I remember.
Oh, yeah.
He's having so much fun and joy going off of, he's not supposed to go off the railroad tracks, but he does. That's how he has fun.
I love it.
He's a playful train. So here's the story. So this, okay. When I was in Taiwan about 10 years ago, I went into an all English bookstore, used bookstore. And the first floor was all children's books. I mean, probably thousands of books, thousands.
Wow.
I was in shock. I'm like, oh my God, this is my dream come true. So it's like collect children's books. And these were English and used. So the price was right. Anyways, I'm rummaging through all these books. Wow, look at this one and this one. Hungry Caterpillar, Brown Bear, Brown Bear. And then guess what book I come across?
Oh, no way.
This is like 35 years later.
My gosh.
And Raj and Betska, when I saw this cover, I got my eyes welled up in tears.
Yeah.
And I looked through these pages and I'm like, and I saw this page and it's just like something deep inside just was released, or I touched deep inside me. And I remember this page. Uh-oh, I don't know what it means. I can't read the words, but I know something is wrong with this page.
Or the red flags and stuff, right?
Red flags, and he's not happy anymore.
No.
Yes.
So he's doing something he probably shouldn't do. And that's what red flags are for. And so I'm like, then I realized even deeper how children's stories, especially illustrations, go into our conscious, even subconscious, and are just planted there.
Wow. I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah.
And it just makes so much sense, right? And so in our, when we are even adult books, right, we should have more stories, more images, because you read books and it's just a sea of words and
right.
Yeah.
Images. So I say, like, when people ask a question, I don't want to label like this book is only for 4 or 5 year olds. This book is for any person basically on the planet, even for young kids who can't read, because they certainly can look at the pictures. And again, if the illustrations are good, like you can see this illustration.
Yeah.
And if you, now that this is the thing with storybooks, with cell phones, you will not get this. Or even ebooks or computer, you will not get this feeling.
Yes.
But with storybooks, they're physical. You put them in your hand. You can absorb the picture. You can stare at it. There's no EMF and all whatever else going on. And so if a kid stares at this picture long enough, they will understand there's good and bad. And the good obviously has to do with love, togetherness, nature, and loving animals.
Right.
The bad is caging animals.
Yeah.
And for the purpose of eating them mostly. Industry and factory smoke and all that, and burning the rainforest, burning the fire, burning the trees. And then I included this one just last year's is virus.
Oh, that's the virus.
That's the virus. So if you use love, you can have this type of reality, this type of world. If you have killing and violence in your society, you're going to have these things. And now currently we're suffering from the coronavirus. So this is how you can teach kids through, you don't even need text, but for older kids, then they can read the text and get even more deeper understanding of what I'm trying to say. So
what a great passion. I love you. What a passion. You are very passionate about your work. It's really good. And you know what I learned from, I also believe in this thing. Whenever we explain anyone practical and a very presentable way, especially for kids, so they will attract it and they will learn and they will, seeking very good way. As a kid, whenever you are right, when I was also kid, I always go for illustration. Whenever see any book.
Well, there's two kinds of children's books. There's reference style children's books. Then there's story books. Stories tell the stories. Reference is more informative, right? Like a textbook. So I use both. I haven't, the rainforest book is kind of like that, but I use other vegan authors as well to support my stories. So I'll read a story to the kids and then we'll talk about it. Then I'll use like another book. This is a reference book by probably the most famous vegan children's author in the world, Ruby Roth. It's called Vegan is Love. She has 4 books, maybe 5. And so this is a reference book. It's a textbook to teach children about veganism. So this is not a story.
No, that's right. Yes.
But again, the illustration is very clear.
Mhm.
This is not right. Something is wrong here.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is what, as a parent or a teacher, you just get into this, you use this picture for a reference, then you can talk to the kids about whatever you want to teach them.
Mhm.
And then again, there's some basic information on zoos over here.
Right on.
So these reference books from other authors I use to support my storybooks. So it's a combination. Stories are usually emotional, fun. You know, I try to make mine fun and interesting, but then these books are more, again, like the information. So
Right on.
perfect combination to use both styles.
So when you look over the years at all these books that you've written and published and all the illustrations that had to be made, what was your number one challenge?
I would think it's mental.
Really? Tell us about that.
Yeah. Well, for me, other authors is different. I know one author from Vietnam. She just started writing children's vegan books. And I help her edit the stories. She has like 6 books done. And I'm like, why can you do 6 books in 2 years and I can do 6 books in 6 years? So every person has their own challenges, especially writers. I don't really have writing block. I never really experienced that before. But my mental challenge is trying to overcome probably my fear of success.
Okay.
As strange as that might sound, and from wherever that comes from, I always kind of stop right before the finish line. So right now I'm in the process of getting these books. See, I printed this, I print this myself.
Oh.
And I sell them by myself. But my dream is to have these on Amazon to make them very easily accessible for anyone, right? Just one click. So I'm at that point now where I got to overcome that, and just it's a hard process to figure out.
Right.
How to manage all that logistical stuff. So it's mental for me, Betska. And
wow, thank you for sharing that right from your heart. I deeply appreciate it. Last question for you is, what impact do you want to have on the world with your books? On the kids, on the parents, on community, on country leaders? What impact do you want to have?
Impact. I think just opening up people's hearts.
Okay.
Especially, well, of course, especially children. And opening their minds as well, because I think generally children's hearts are open naturally.
Yes, I think so too.
But their minds, maybe not, because of things they've already been told or taught.
Yeah.
Like I'll ask kids in my class, do you think eating meat is good? I always keep it very simple. Do you think eating meat, and I never judge the kids. I don't say you're right or you're wrong. I just want to listen to them, and I leave it at that. I said, do you think eating meat is right or wrong? And often they will say, my parents told me is wrong because if I eat meat, I won't grow tall.
Oh, interesting.
I won't grow strong.
Oh.
And I'm thinking, okay, that's an interesting response. So I think, which is, to me, I don't tell the child there that that's not true, but I remember it, and I'll use that information, to try and maybe write a story about that. Veganism is definitely a way you can always be strong and like look at the animal kingdom: gorillas, giraffes, elephants.
Yeah.
Strength times like 1,000. So that's just a misconception of the parents put into the kids' minds.
Yeah.
So I want to try and open that up
Mhm.
through fun, fun storytelling.
Mhm. Well, you
And
clearly
also for parents, one parent told me that, oh, thanks a lot, Scott. This book was really cool. You know what? I never realized I'd become too adult in my, these past few years, and your book let me be a child again, and I really enjoyed it.
Oh, that is
So
so wonderful. Scott,
that was
put your
cool.
put your sign up here so everybody can see how to get a hold of you there, buddy.
Wow.
Thekindgarden.com, and on Facebook it's Scott Reeve.
Reeve.
Very easy.
Thank you so much for being here with us today, Scott. You certainly opened my mind again, as usual. And we thank you very much for joining our podcast today.
Can anybody out there hear me? Hear me?